Hi everyone, welcome to an episode of Car Mechanics Simulator 2018. This is Indie Game Reviews, and we're going to look at the storyline game mode of Car Mechanics Simulator 2018. Having passed through the tutorial and learned some of the game mechanics, I can actually discuss the game mechanics now, having learned it. And we'll talk about some of the pros and cons of this game, and also how to get through some of the storyline challenges that come through the orders that you take. Alright, so let's get right into it. And there's a few cars that we have already worked on and learned some of the game mechanics and how to use some of the tools. In the previous games that I recorded, I took the sound off because it is quite distracting, and the music is gone as well. Now, this is a basic garage. This is still in the early stages. If we look at the toolbox, you see that the garage has been expanded with the workbench and some extra space. However, not much more can be done here. We have the basic tools available. We have one spot for a car that has been brought in, only one lift, the workbench, and some of the other previous tools that were there previously, and of course there's the garage. So, looking at some of the game mechanics, starting off with the car, this is something that the tutorial doesn't really walk through. You just have to figure out on your own. There are three ways to actually use the wheel menu. When you click anywhere outside of a car or tools, you get the generic wheel menu. You can check your orders, take a photo, basic settings. The tablet is not accessible yet since that's in the career progression. I haven't unlocked that portion yet. The parts, where we can actually put parts into a shopping list, as it were, by selecting the part and then putting it into the menu or into the shopping list. And the inventory menu, which is a fairly basic graphic user interface where you can see various parts that you actually have in your warehouse. The other menu, dial menu, is changes slightly. There's still the parts notes, the inventory, the tablet, which is a computer where you can order more parts, and then you have your overview mode, which changes the color to a transparent overview and shows the parts conditions, at least the ones that you know. The ones that are shaded gray or white are unknown condition, and from green, yellow to red shows the overall condition of the parts. That's one visual cue and the way of quickly getting a good idea of what's actually good and what's falling apart, what's marginally good in this car. Again, you will sometimes have to actually take parts apart and examine them to get a better sense of what's going on. And of course, there's going to be the other visual cue of actually examining the exterior or the condition of the parts. Now we can see here lots of rust on the exterior of the car, lots of rust on the rims, and all the parts will have a visual cue of how badly damaged or how worn out they are by how much rust is on them. So things are pretty much falling apart, close to 100% gone, are fully covered in rust, and the shinier the part, the better off it is. Back to the menu. We can move the car to various locations. In this case, only have one lift. I can take a test path, which is going to be one of the things we're going to do with this car, and back to the parking lot where we can store some of these cars, especially the ones we buy from the barns or from auctions. Back to the menu, there's assemble mode, inter-disassemble mode, where you can take the seats out, steering wheels, and so forth. The car status, where you can get a good overview of the condition of the car. Over here, the mileage, the type of engine it has, swap options if there are any. In this case there are none. Sometimes there's a menu that scrolls back and forth indicating what types of engines and other capabilities you can actually install instead of the stock engine here. This portion here from the order tells what the customer is complaining about, and will give you hints of how to or what to look for. In this case, the car was supposed to be fine, but it's pulling to the right, and then there's a strange smell like mushrooms. So the customers give various hints. Some of them are fairly obvious. In this case, looking for brake problems and looking for potentially suspension problems. And then here on the right, in this case, most of these parts have been fixed, but all of these options here or parts were showing as parts not discovered. So essentially, there are many ways to find out how to or what is wrong with this car and what parts actually need to be replaced. And mostly it is to actually look at the parts, see how badly rusted they are, take them apart, and then they show up here as discovered parts. And once they've been fixed and repaired, they will then turn green with a green check mark showing your progress. So in this case we have 2 more undiscovered parts, and we're going to get to that and how to actually find those. My idea is, since I worked on the front, is to examine the rear portions of the car and take it to the test chamber to see if we can actually use computerized software and tools to figure out what is wrong with this car. Hopefully the computers and machines and our testing equipment will tell us, instead of us having to tear apart the entire car, which can get very tedious and annoying. Alright, this also tells you down here what parts, what condition they have to be in for the customer to be satisfied, how much money was actually spent on this car, what the total payout is. In this case it's 1 for 1, so the customer is paying for all the parts. But once you figure out and fix everything, you'll essentially get a labor cost and labor compensation, task bonus and job bonus, and then you finish the order. Alright, so back to this menu again. The final one is tuning parts, but since I don't own any cars yet, these are customers' cars, we can't choose that option yet. Alright, so we're going to move on and try to figure out what's wrong with this car and bring this car to a close. Now there's a final option of dial menu by going to various machinery and tools that you have in the workshop, in this case tire changer or the wheel band. So you right click and you can then choose different options here. In this case, balance wheels. Right now I don't have any tires and rims to work on that have been put together, and it will tell me that. Same thing here, either separating parts or installing parts and removing the actual wheels or parts once they're separated or put together. So each tool or machine will have these options depending on what machine it is, such as adding engines onto the crate, rotating left and right, and removing the engine from the crates, and then creating brand new engines. For oil drain, move the equipment. In this case will be to the various lifts, putting it back, and then down here, if it's in the right spots underneath the car, you click this, and this goes for a bunch of other tools such as the welding machine or welder. In the case of repairing the exterior of a car, this is the use button, and this will then activate the oil drainage, capturing of the oil, and as part of your oil change. Alright, so we're going to get this car up on the lift, right clicking, moving the car to the car lifter A, and now that it's over here, we can lift it by left clicking. And it's going to go in 2 stages. There's the initial stage right off the ground, so you can just pretty much change tires and change brakes and whatnot. And you can still use or work on the engine from this angle here. You click once more, the car is going to go all the way up, and at this point you can actually examine all the parts that are in the undercarriage, including the suspension and exhaust and other elements that you can only remove from this angle. And the game will tell you if you can change things from the underneath or from the engine side. So in this case, you can see nice and shiny parts. These are brand new, they're recently installed, compared to the rusty or dirty components that are 50, 60, 55, 60, 70% okay, and they do not need to be changed. So the rustier and darker and grimier the part is, the more likely it is that it needs to be replaced. So in this case, we still have two parts that are unknown, and we're going to examine the rear suspension, because the front has been already fixed, to see if we can figure out what's wrong with this car. Now we're going to take one wheel off, see if we can visually get an idea if something's wrong based on how much rust or how much damage there is. And if we can do that, we're going to use the equipment in this room over here, which is the testing room, and the car will go through a set of tests, testing the brakes front and back, and suspension front and back, and giving a reading at the end and telling you what the computer thinks might be wrong with the car. All right, so some of the interfaces that I had to struggle with initially was how to remove items, and the best way to do it, or really the only way to do it, is to select the area which is highlighted in yellow that you wish to work on. So it could be suspension, could be the suspension of front in different big blocks, or the exhaust, or the engine, as it were. In this case, we can only select anything that's underneath, but the same would occur at the top. The engine will be highlighted as one big block, and that is the area you want to be working on. So you simply single click, and this will take us to the removal or install parts. And if you right click, there's the part mount option. In this case, that is the default is to part remove. And if you want to switch to part install or part mount, then you would right click and select this button here. Examine again is a general overview. In this case, the tires and rims are okay condition, they're yellow, and we want to go to part unmount. So what you do once, and any part that is green, highlight or circle in green, is good to remove. So in this case, the wheel and rims, of course, come as one unit. So you click and hold, and then it will zoom in on the part that you want to examine. And in this case, it's telling us to remove the bolts that are holding the wheel and the rims in onto the axle. Now that part is gone, and you'll see anything that's highlighted yellow is something we cannot remove yet. There are certain parts, such as this brake caliper, that are holding everything else in place, and we have to do everything in proper sequence. So in this case, the brake calipers have to come off, held down by two bolts. Next is the brake pads, and then of course the brake disc. In this case, brake discs are brand new. Put the solid drive in there, solid drive axle. So we have looked at this before, but there's still something that is not fully sorted out, and not good according to the game. Alright, so what we have here is a sequence of removing parts all the way till you can remove the entire rear suspension. It doesn't look like anything here is terribly damaged. The coil spring rear drive seems to be still okay, but what we're going to do is install the wheel back, which in this case means part mount. It's going to ask us to choose the parts we want to install again, back, same sequence but in reverse, and everything that is workable is in green. So click and hold, a little green circle spins around, choose the part you want to install. You can have multiple parts, different conditions. In this case we have only good conditions, and you'll see here that certain parts need to be combined with other parts to make a unit, or a combined piece, in this case brake calipers and the cylinder, and it's going to ask if you wish to install them together. Of course you say yes, and then we put the wheel back on. So what we're going to do here, since nothing visually struck out as obviously broken, we're going to take it to the test room and see if we can figure things out. So with the escape button, the exit from there, click the control panel once, click and hold to get the car to come all the way down. Alright, now we can take this to the test room. Alright, we're going to take it to the test path. So the car's gone, and we have to follow along. And there it is. There's the car waiting for us, and we're going to hop in. Alright, so yeah, we have to do it this way. Yep, we are sure we want to proceed with the path test, and it's going to place us into the car. Alright, this car started. So in the top left you'll see the rear suspension, rear brakes, and front suspension, and we're going to drive forward to the brake tester. Alright, and we're going to push back S in this case, WSD, S being in brakes, and it's testing the brakes. Alright, good. We're good for front brakes. We're going to move forward to place the rear tires onto the same pad. Hit the brakes. Rear brakes are good. Take it front to the suspension test this time. Front suspension is going to get tested first. And we're holding the brakes down right now. The car's getting jarred back and forth. Okay, so the front suspension is at 81%. That's still okay. And now it's time for rear suspension. Okay, the rear suspension seems to be problematic. Alright, so now we found out what's wrong with this car. So anything that's over 50% is still okay and would pass the test. In this case, the customer will be okay. The parts that are broken are the rear rubber bushings, and they're likely in the rear suspension area, and we're going to have to go and examine those, and hopefully we can find them relatively quickly. So we are going to right click on the car, move the car back to car lifter A, follow behind, get the car up on the lift, and it is time to inspect those rubber bushings. Before we do that, I'm just going to show the toolbox and the skills progression system they have here. So it starts off all gray, and as you complete tasks you will get the skill points, and in this case we can collect up to 6, and this area here shows the cost of each one of these skills and how much it costs to actually upgrade them. So you can choose the path, choose your priorities. Some of them might be important at the moment. Tire testers, in this case a tablet, which allows you to buy parts without having to go to the computer on the desk. The successful repair, as an example, is at the workbench, how successful it is you might be in repairing things, because the higher the number, the greater chance you're not going to actually break something. I tried fixing certain things. My repair skills are pretty poor at the moment, and I actually ended up making things worse, and the parts broke, so I had to buy them. And you'll see some of these skills make the task of unscrewing and screwing parts together faster, which speeds up the game a little bit. That's one of the most tedious parts of the game. is having to go through numerous screws, especially in engine blocks and tires or wheels. And these skills may make it a little bit more bearable to do all that. Okay, so we're going to go and go to the computer since we're not working on the car at the moment. You'll see here an internet or their game version of a small internet, and this in this case pretty much honed in on particular parts of the car. So rims, tires, plates, interior shop, the body shop parts, and then of course engine parts. Click here, you can go always back to the home, and then you can do search or look at categories or tabs: engine, suspension, brakes, exhaust, gearbox, various parts for various types of cars and engines, i4s, inline 6s, V6s, V8s, V8s, the OHVs, and the whole 9 yards. So different types of cars, different types of parts, and all the way to the gearbox. All right, and then you can do a search. In this case, we want the rubber bushings. There they are. You can choose how many you want. In this case, we want 2. And then we exit out. So now we have those 2 parts. Now we're going to find where those parts are. And I wonder if we can actually see the car overview. Yep. Okay. So since we did the test, the rubber bushings show up here as red, so we don't have to hunt for them. We know where they are now. And so it does make a whole lot of sense to upgrade your garage with the toolbox when you get enough skill points, because you get your tester room, and this allows you to quickly find problems instead of having to tear apart everything. So in this case, we're going to get into the guts of this car underneath here, replace those bushings, and the customer should be satisfied with our work. So we're going to click on this, and now we're in the remove or repair part option, or mode I should say. In this case, we can actually remove the bushings directly. They're nicely green highlight, and we're going to right click, switch to part mounts, make sure we choose rubber bushing. We have a whole bunch of them, and install that part. Since we don't have to do anything else on this side, we're going to go to the other side and repeat the process. Click once, get into the repair mode, find the rubber bushings. You can even click once more to zoom in if you wish. Alright, right click, choose part mount instead, otherwise you're going to start stripping off more parts. In this case, we're going to install a new one. Escape. We are going to lower the car. I think that should solve this problem. Actually, no, we just need to still install. Almost forgot one of the tires. That would be bad. Alright, let's go into part mount and install the wheels and tires. I don't think the customer would have been very happy if I had left them with a wheel missing. Okay, now we're good. Click and hold. The car will lower all the way down. Right click, check the status, and we have all parts fixed, and then now we can finish the order. So now we can see the money spent, 2,637, but we also got task bonus and job bonus, and that's the total. That's how much we actually made a pretty good profit. Almost double the amount. You can see here at the top right the experience points. I guess when that goes up to the next level, we're going to get more skill points we can use. That's the number of orders that are waiting right now, and of course that's how much money we have. Finish the order. Alright, so let's go check the tools, see if we have any skill points. No, not at this point. We're going to check the inventory, and in this case we do have a new crate that we can open up. When you finish a task, some things pop up, the case or a barn location map. Click on that, and yes, we want to add a barn location to our map, and I'll show that in a minute. In this case, we want to open up the case, pun intended. And it's going to give us some mystery items. Alright, another map, thermostats, and front drive shaft. So these are random pieces that end up in your warehouse, and I guess you can use those to modify cars that you eventually buy. I'm never going to use these parts to repair customers' cars, but we can certainly keep saving these up. So you'll see, let's just do that again. You'll see here a whole bunch of parts that have these triangles with quality numbers. I'm not quite sure what those mean, but they probably mean endurance or give better acceleration, better speed, who knows. But anyways, these parts came in crates after finishing up different jobs. None of the normal pieces have these triangles with the +1 or +5 quality indicators on them. So these are special parts that we received, and I'm going to keep saving those up. Maybe we'll have to sell some of them, but I doubt it. Alright, before we go and get a new order, I'm going to show the map. And you go to the main gates, and you can find different areas of this map to go to. The garage is here, speed track is here. There's another place we can take the cars to actually test them out, see if your tuning is good. Abandoned airport, I think that's another area you can go drive. I have not done that. I have not done the racetrack or car auctions yet, and I guess in this case can't even get there yet. And barns. These barns we're going to go and visit right now. It costs $100. That's okay. It's good for demonstration purposes. We're going to see what mystery cars we have in this barn. In the last barn I visited, we had 3 different cars, but they were overpriced. Hey, there's junk. Yep, we're gonna get engine heads. I guess we can pick them all up. It can cost anything. Interesting. Alright, I did not know that that was possible. More junk. Click and hold. Awesome. Look at this. If we can restore some of these, once our skill goes up, we can sell them. Nice. Alright, and we do have a case here. Let's see. Oh, no, I don't want to put that back. That was a nice find. Alright, so, cars. We have 2 cars here. Let's check it out. Some parts are known here. Mostly unknown parts. Let's see what this car is. Alright, so this is a Bolt Hellcat. Some parts here are known. Okay, that's fine. Air filters for the carburetor. Not a big deal. Lots of parts. Unknown condition. It's $12,880. Sorry, $12,808. We have $16,083, so not quite there. I'm not going to spend the money yet, but it seems to be a pretty decent car. And here's an example of where you have the stock engine here on the left underneath the car image, and here are swap options. Tells you what engines you can actually swap it out for. So maybe you're not satisfied with this, you can actually build another car with supercharged V8, for example, Hemi, or 385, whatnot. So this shows you what options to customize you have. Alright, so nope, we're not going to get that yet. It's not enough money. I'm going to right click on this one. A quick overview here. Just shows a couple bits and pieces. Alright. It's also Bolt Hellcat. A lot better condition. Let's see, what was this one here? Frame condition 78%. This one is 97%. The global parts and global body, that's fine. It's not too bad. 259,000 miles and 314. So actually more worn out, more worn or more used, but slightly better condition, at least from what we can tell here. So anyways, this is, oh, and a lot more expensive. It's almost $20,000. That's way over our budget. Okay, well, we're done here. But so we can always come back to this barn and Oh, okay. These parts do cost money. That's okay. We're gonna get them. $953. We're gonna buy them. Yeah, I guess it wasn't just junk. It was something we had to buy. That's okay. We're gonna restore them and use them in some cars later on when we start modifying. Alright, so that was a quick overview of some of the game mechanics of Car Mechanics Simulator 2018 and how to fix or figure out and how to fix a car with some unknown parts that are broken, and how to use a test track to do so if the visual cues are not sufficient to find especially small parts such as bushings and valves and whatnot that are buried and hidden inside the engine or the car frame itself. Alright, I hope you liked this video. Please like and subscribe, and we'll be back with other episodes of Car Mechanics Simulator 2018. See you later.